SMT Nation, we back. Nation, we've got an update out of a company known as IV Cellular. They're going to be shutting down their network, and they're going to become an AT&T reseller. Very specifically, I believe Cricket, which is AT&T's prepaid brand. So an interesting development, and then there's some assets involved here. Let's cover it in today's video and see if it's a difference maker or if it's a nothing burger. Link for the article from Dano Light Reading. Find that in the description. Also, if you want to support the channel and show your appreciation for all the content here, you could support us. Ways to do that are also in the description. Okay, so I've never heard of this company. I think they're based out of just a couple of different states. Specifically, I see, where was the location? I think it was Illinois. I think North Central Illinois. So this looks and feels like just a small regional operator. And they're looking to transition away from running their own network to becoming an AT&T reseller, specifically, through the prepaid channel of Cricket Wireless. All right, so what we're seeing and what we've been seeing is the small regional providers, the rural providers, moving away from owning and operating their own network, kind of getting out of that industry. It makes sense. These national providers have increased the size of their networks. These smaller carriers just cannot compete. They can't compete because you've got all types of technology limitations. It's time to reinvest into these networks. That's an expensive, investment. Going to the vendors, trying to get radio gear, climbing towers, upgrading, increasing fiber optic circuits. It's just a tough time to be able to do that. So instead of reinvesting in, things that aren't going to return the value in a certain amount of time, they're just going to sell out. Well, and then, you think about these customers, well, who do they go to? They basically become free agents, and they've got options in T-Mobile, Verizon, AT&T, and I guess even to a lesser extent Dish. But usually what ends up happening is AT&T or Verizon, right? They kind of swoop in and they look to handle those assets. When I look at the spectrum holdings of this particular company, the 850 megahertz seems to be the highlight. That being said, puts it into the possible courts of AT&T and Verizon. Now, specifically, this article names Verizon. And the reason I think that makes sense is because Verizon did the same thing with Bluegrass Cellular in Kentucky, and they did the same thing with West Central Wireless in Texas. And I believe those are companies that had like 700 megahertz and 850 megahertz, band 13 and band 5 respectively. So, and US Cellular's on the they're on the chopping block too with their wireless business, right? So no surprise here, no shocks. I think IV Cellular has like 54 cell sites in 8 counties in North Central Illinois. They use network vendors like Ericsson, Metaswitch, Casa Systems, right? This is not a big company. This is not a big regional provider, but it is something to monitor as those spectrum holdings, they become available. It becomes really important to a company like Verizon or AT&T that can enhance their connectivity, their capacity through those lower frequencies. And we know there's a spectrum screen there, but we'll see how that gets exercised and where each of the carriers stacks up. But they specifically mentioned Verizon here, so we'll look at them to possibly be the beneficiary of this. And I don't know how many customers they have, but we'll see where they go to, possibly with a video update soon as, more information becomes available. All right, you guys, just a prediction for those that are out there. This is a location that's, I would say is, it looks like south of Chicago by about 100 miles or so. What do you guys think? Do you think the assets will go to Verizon or AT&T? Who do you think should have them based on the geography and the market share in this region? Love to hear what you have to say on this. You are the voice of the people, the SMT Nation. Let your voice be heard.